cystoscope, and that tip gets a force down or up. I'm not too worried about in, right, because the tube's probably going to be able to hold that, but I'm probably going to worry about a moment that's going to break that joint that was pointed out before. That's probably what I'm mostly worried about. So I'm going to go ahead and think about my boundary conditions to be locking this in all degrees of freedom, locking my collar, right? So let's just assume someone's holding on to that, like they're not making fudge. And then I'm going to put a force on the tip of my cystoscope going straight down. That would be one loading situation that I would be worried about, that I want to think about. So what I'll do is I'll come over here. So again, study 1, study 2. Delete this previous study here. So I'll first check on my study materials, okay? And I'll make sure that I've assigned everything appropriately, and I have. So, and you'll notice here, safety factor, we're going to use yield strength. That's what we talked about before. ABS plastic, 316 steel, that all looks good to me. Then I'm going to go over to my loading case, okay? So in my loading case, currently I don't have any loads. So I'm going to go ahead and let's first put on a constraint here. So I'm going to go up here to constraints. I'm actually going to focus around here a little bit. Sorry, I don't have my touchpad here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and fix this back surface. Really importantly, I want to make sure that the only thing I'm fixing is that surface. What would happen if I accidentally fixed a part of my sheath? What do you think? Why would that be a problem if I fix my sheath? Any ideas? Yeah.
It's like not gonna move upwards like inside of it.
Exactly. So none of the force that I put on the tip, it's all just going to be reacting through the sheath onto this constraint at the end. Nothing is going to load into the plastic. So I want to hold onto the plastic, and I want to push down on the metal, right? Because I want to see how that's going to interact, how that joint's going to interact. If I accidentally constrained the metal, all I would be doing would be putting a force on the metal on this tip, and it would be reacting against the constraint in the metal on the other tip. That collar would just be kind of sitting there in space, not under any load. So I'm going to go ahead and just lock that, and you can see I can lock it in the X, Y, and Z directions. Hit OK. So I've gone ahead and locked that surface. Okay. Then let's look at loads. So one of the things I'm going to do right off the bat is I'm going to turn gravity on. Okay. So I just load. I'm going to toggle gravity on. So you can see it. So gravity's on. Constraints. So basically, that even though that is right there, that yellow is right there, it's basically saying anything that has mass has gravity, and it's pulling it down. And gravity, again, would be important in this because this whole thing hanging out here, cantilevered on the collar, that's going to put a significant load on it. Okay, and then let's put the load of interest. So I'm going to go ahead and do a structural load. I'm going to say, I'm going to put a load right on the tip. Just on that face right there. And I'm going to actually do it in the negative Z direction. I'm going to say, so let me see, 40 newtons, 10 pounds sounds about right to me. So basically what I'm saying is I'm putting a 40-pound tip load right on the tip, so it's kind of worst case scenario. What if someone pushed down with 10 pounds at the very tip of my cystoscope while someone was holding the cystoscope? You could come up with 30 or 40, but really, like, most of us deal in pounds, like single-digit pounds for most of human interaction. It's very rarely that we start getting into, like, if you start getting in 10s, 20s, 30s, that's a really heavy load. So I think about a 40-newton force, that's like a 10-pound force that's going down and someone holding it, okay? So I have my, my cystoscope ready to go here. Okay, I have gravity, I have the load on the tip, and I have something fixed. So what happens if I only have loads and nothing's fixed? When it starts to solve, what's going to happen? It's going to fly to outer space, right? Infinitely, and it's going to blow up. So I need to make sure that everything is fixed somehow and that my loads are all in place. So once I feel comfortable with that, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to generate my mesh. And again, this is where we might need to I need to like take a break for a little bit. Oh, that was pretty fast. So it automatically generated my mesh. I can go back in and do a lot of things to my mesh to make it like higher resolution in certain areas and other things like that, but don't sweat about it. So once I've generated my mesh, I'm all set. Then I'm gonna come down here to my results, and before I solve, I'm gonna do a pre-check to make sure that it has everything in there. It's gonna kind of quickly go through and say, okay, is this part gonna flap in outer space? Does it have everything that I need to? Does it have all the materials? It's gonna do pre-check. It says it has everything required, okay? So then I'm gonna come down here and go to solve, okay? So I'm gonna go and hit solve. So just like on the rendering, you can use your cloud credits. You can do it on the cloud or you can do it locally. This shouldn't be that bad.